Okay, folks, here we go. Well, we just had a shitstorm erupt here. So, as always, let's put all this stuff back. Let's put all the toys away. All of this stuff. Even though we may end up having to pull it back out, let's at least put it away for... Hello. I got glasses on. I turned into instant mole man, and shit happens. Kind of in the general area of where the colors need to be. There's not assigned seats, so to speak. That would be way too anal retentive. Where were we putting these? Where are we putting these? I guess they're in here. Technically, these are... I didn't know that I had these colors. All right, good. Black, there's a green over here. We can move this over here and this one over here. Oh, that's this one. There we go. Matte varnish. And I'm going to put these colors right here for the time being. This is not really where they go. They go in those sets outside, but I'm kind of on a roll doing figures. I don't think I'm going to do a vehicle tonight. I was super motivated. Doing that medic. That turned out I'm really happy with how that turned out. And that's a useful figure. That's a useful figure for different stuff. And let's have him go join everybody else. And for right now, we're just putting them in a magnetic tray. As we get more of these, we'll end up having to have a tray for the Americans and so forth. Okay, so here's Moran. Let's put Moran here. And then Higgs. And Lieutenant Jeffers. All right, where is my medic? Dole the medic. And of course, he looks better than any of the guys that of course, the last guys I painted him 20 years ago. He's got a little bit more contrast than the rest of them. That's why he looks better. Man, he looks good. Good times. Don't shoot at my Dole. Hands off my Dole. All right, so I got Soviets here. Let's put the 3 Soviet tank crewmen here. I don't want them up here collecting dust. Okay. And then here's the Airfix pack crew. And we have a couple of German guards up here. All right. So that's everybody that's up here that's complete. Okay. Working on your Skywave buildings. Excellent. Have they come out with new stuff for Skywave? Because I remember them a long time ago. I'm sure they... I mean, if they're still... I don't know. There's some companies like, Hasegawa does like tanks and stuff. I don't think they've come up with any new tanks. Now, I was pulling out some old figures yesterday, and I came across some U.S. tank crewmen, which I didn't know that I had. Dismounted. I've got half figures, but dismounted guys. I'm going to step off the camera here for a little bit and clean this other area up because I got some German figures that I pulled out here that are... I know I had some old Drew's Militia, and sure enough, those were old Drew's Militia that I had. We'll fire up the airbrush and do some sealing this weekend. All right. Let's put these Jerry's away. All right. I've got some American guys that I kind of decided were going to be next up here on the table. And what was really cool about last night is I was actually able to get one guy done. Or actually it was a double figure. So I was actually able to finish a guy. Yeah, this is the U.S. tank crew. We got a... And these are... yeah, some of these guys are actually anti-tank gun crew. But I don't want to cut them in half and put them in there. They're just going to be dismounts. So when something goes wrong, they showed up on... In the perfect world, you'll never see them. Because it means they're inside their vehicle that's operating just great. Alright, I think... I don't have a guy with a... I don't have a guy with a rifle grenade. So that's who this guy's going to be. The guy with a rifle grenade. And he's going to be Kowalski. Kowalski, the rifle grenadier. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is let's get some of these foot bottom. These things. Did the company Pit Road has reproduced some of the old stuff? I'm not sure. All the boxes you have are old. Did you buy them used or something? Let's do. Man, this is actually a lot more difficult to do than it should be. This guy's going to be Kowalski. Guy with a rifle grenade. Who gave the rifle grenade to the Polak? I don't know. Maybe he's really good with it. That's one of those weapons we need to test. That and a mortar, and they're not difficult to use. Just look at the stats. Kowalski's pretty straightforward. He's got a 1941 jacket. That's an officer. We're not ready to do him yet. That is the Zook and the Zook helper. 3 guys with Garans. Yeah, we're just gonna do one guy at a time. That's how I like to roll. That way you have something to show for it. I don't mind wasting paint. You know, I'm not so worried about. Got to get everything in. So before we get started with this, we're going to go ahead and paint with some of this so this can dry and we can glue some of these guys' names down. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of sandpaper. Maybe one a little finer than that. And let's just polish up this basswood just a little bit. Not much, just so it doesn't look so damn grainy. And I could use plastic, but... Okay, and then we're going to take this brush with some chocolate brown. Nope, that's leather brown. It's Kissin' Cousin. All right, we'll let this dry out of the way. And we'll rinse this. Now, where is my little pipette? I'm going to grab a little bit of water. This worked really well on here. I'd much rather use this than a wet palette. Unless I had a wet palette that was this size, you know. It works well enough. Well enough for me. All right. So we're going to start off with doing the brown. And I'm just going to grab that same brown that we used, which is US Field Drab. And of course we need we need the usual suspects, which of course is black and white. You watched anything good on TV? Probably not, because you haven't told me about it. I actually saw a movie this last weekend that I caught part of it when I was on vacation. I'm like, maybe I'll go and revisit this. And I actually picked it, and it actually turned out to be, I rather enjoyed it and didn't fall asleep watching it. And that movie is Sicario. And I actually enjoyed it. Although I'm pretty convinced that Benicio del Toro does not speak Spanish at all. I think he just mumbles things, and then they just put things on the subtitles. I think his command of the Spanish language is not that good. I could be wrong. Maybe he's just a natural mumbler all the time. Didn't matter. I play everything with subtitles anyways. The other guy that was in Narcos Mexico was the same way. I couldn't understand anything. Whatever that guy is that's on the main character on Andor. I can't understand him in Spanish either. He's a mumbler. De la Vega, or whatever his name is. All right. This is a rather large brush, but this is what we did to make all the magic happen with Dole. So now done with Dole, we're going to move on to Kowalski. I don't know if I heard of that movie. What is it about? Drugs. Mexican drug war. It's got, Oh my God, here we go again. Talking about people I can't remember what the names are. The British girl that played Mary Poppins, and 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 whatchamacallit's son. I know I'm terrible. Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin's in it. Um, Benicio del Toro's in it. God, what's her name? Can't remember what her name is. Anyway, it's pretty good. It's pretty intense at times. I don't mind movies that have drugs in them as long as it doesn't promote drug use. I'm good. I mean, you can make movies about promoting drug use. I don't want to watch them. Not my thing. Emily Blunt. That's what her name is. There's a couple movies like that I've caught parts of that I really want to see, that I wanted to see, and that one just happened to be available. You know, you can rent stuff, but I try to like limit myself. Like, all right, what can we see with the stuff that we're already paying for, right? But more and more, Netflix has nothing I'm interested on. It's usually Amazon has more things than Netflix. I have a hard time finding something on Netflix that I care to watch these days. I don't really watch much, but all right. Let's see what we're looking at here. Sometimes it's kind of hard to make what's what when equipment is all on top of itself. There we go. Get some airflow in here. You're not the biggest fan of drug movies. They just don't interest me much. Well, I like violence, so I'm a pacifist. Sometimes the best thing you can do to enjoy a movie is have really low expectations of it. Like, this is not going to be very good. And they're like, oh, wasn't that half bad? You know? I like violent movies. I just don't like, I don't like horror. I don't do horror. I think many years ago somebody was telling me about when they started doing that American Horror Story. I started watching it. I'm like, nope, we're done. That's going to put bullshit ideas in my head, and then I'm not going to be able to, walk across a darkened room and shit like that. I don't believe none of that supernatural stuff, so I don't need to put ideas in my head. Nothing good can come from that. Just like my daughter, I never scared her. I never, was running around like, boo, Martin the Startler and stuff. Like, nothing good comes from that. You find yourself getting angry a little bit. Well, if you watch that movie, I actually clapped in the middle of the movie. Towards the end of the movie. If you're not going to see it, I'll spoil it for you. But one of the characters is basically playing on payback, and I love payback movies. And he didn't pussy out. He paid the guy back. The guy apparently was Mexican judge or something like that, and somebody basically tattled on him, and they went after and killed his wife and killed his daughter or something. So he ends up confronting the guy at the end. It's kind of long-winded. You don't really know that. He ended up confronting them. the guy that put this order in at this dinner table with the guy's wife and his two kids, and he kills them all in cold blood in front of the guy. And I was so proud of him because I mean not that I want to kill innocent kids, but that's what you get. Really, it's just a movie. Nobody got hurt. I would watch movies like that are payback movies, and you just get so damn angry of what happens to somebody that they didn't deserve. If somebody's getting what's coming to them, well, they're getting what's coming to them. But some people just don't ask for anything. Some characters, some characters don't ask for stuff to happen to them, and it's just like unfair. Did you ever see Misery, by the way? I think you told me you finally saw Misery. I saw it twice in the movie theater back when it was on, which is really unusual because, I don't watch very many movies in a movie theater, and certainly in 1990 or whatever when it came out, it's like, hey, can I go to the movies again? What are you going to see? The same movie? The same movie you just saw? What the hell? I saw the movie twice, and I watched it a couple years ago, a year ago or something like that. My daughter didn't enjoy it. I thought it was freaking still solid. But that's that's like a payback movie. Like the guy didn't do anything wrong, and he's like like being held hostage. Like girlfriend and I did see Misery. Had a good time with it. It's an excellent movie, and it's not a horror movie. I like those kind of movies. Okay, like you can. It's not like you if you light the person on fire, they don't become bigger. It's not like it's a demonic or something like that. It's like. Yeah, so there's a comedy movie we were watching. We started watching. Couldn't stand it anymore. I don't remember what it's called, but it's got Jason Bateman in it and that McCarthy woman. And I forget what it is. The something thief. It might be called The Identity Thief. It basically starts off. She basically steals his identity and making his life miserable. And this guy wasn't an asshole. Like he didn't deserve it. And I'm like, I hope she fucking dies. I'd throw her in front of a truck because the guy didn't do anything wrong, and he's basically getting screwed by this lady for no reason whatsoever, other than she's just a thief. And I'm like, I can't watch stuff like that. I'm like, somebody needs to take like a typewriter. She needs to take a typewriter to her head or something like that. So the guy didn't do anything wrong. It's not like he was an asshole. He deserved it. Couldn't watch it. I'm like, I'm getting worked up for this, and I still haven't forgotten her. So I don't want to see her in anything ever again. Well, I don't want to see her. So she's a freaking bitch that screwed Jason Bateman. Like I'm not watching it. She's done. I'm done with her. Melissa McCarthy, fuck her. Sorry, I can't watch you with anything. There's people like that are just I've seen movies like that. There's a couple of movies. I want to say there was a Stallone movie, and I'm not a fan of Sylvester Stallone on any stretch of the imagination. And I think it was him. But anyways, he got ended up I think thrown in jail or something. I was so freaking angry at the end of that movie, just for while I'm watching the movie. It was ended up being like a payback movie. It's like, okay, kill him again, Yeah, I thought Misery was good. But it's not a horror movie, so you can watch that. And it's not really disturbing. Like, a firearm could have solved that problem, right? All right, And now we're going to lighten this up with a little bit of white. And we can move on to another article of clothing. He plays the same guy every movie. I get tired of those actors. My dad was a big Stallone fan. Yeah, I don't like guys that just... But you know what? A lot of people play the same guys in every movie. Think about it. Even people that you like, right? Even people that you like play the same guy in every movie. Like, people say, oh, John Wayne's great. John Wayne does John Wayne. You know? And I'm not saying that, you know, he sucks or anything, but that's what he does. You know? Whatchamacallit plays the same guy in every movie. Clint Eastwood. Arnold plays the same guy in every movie. Ben Stiller plays the same guy in every movie. Almost everybody plays the same guy in every movie. It's rare you can find somebody that just kind of does something different. And I don't like this. I don't like the guy that he plays. So, Misery's funny theory, yeah. Well, the one thing that always stuck to me in that movie is when he moves that little glass thing. That's come up certain ways. Because I know people that like everything in certain ways, and it's like, oh, like that scene from Misery, like you know, like nope, that's not where it goes. You moved, you know, or whatever it was that she said. How many Stephen King things have I seen? I've seen that one. I saw the Shining one, which I'll never get that time back ever again. What a waste. I don't know why that movie has any kind of a following at all. It's terrible. What else is Stephen King that I've seen? I remember growing up as a kid, the movie that was huge, or at least it was huge for kids my age, which would have been like 10, was Cujo. And I don't think I've ever seen the movie. I've seen, you know, the parts where this bloody German Shepherd is just like covered in matted stuff, and he's just like trying to get into the car, you know. But I remember that was like the big thing when I was, you know, when I was 10 years old. You know, you shouldn't be watching a freaking rated R movie when you're 10 years old. I didn't get to see it. I'm just, you know. In the 80s, rated R movie basically meant, oh, you made a rated R because of, you know, boobs. You're going to show boobs. Ooh, boobs, you know. My brother's like that. Growing up, I'd go in his room and move stuff around just to mess with him. Oh, man. Yeah, the penguin thing. Uh-huh. Yep. There's a little glass thing. She knew that he had, you know, he says everything in a certain way. No, it's not here. It's here. You know, like, anal. Your brother had a condition and you didn't know. Or actually, you did know he had a condition. Just back then, there was no name for it. Now they got to give everything a name. Okay, khaki is what supposedly was what the color was used. Nope, that's the German color. Screw those guys. Khaki gray? No, not khaki gray, just regular khaki. Damn it. Looks like este. Nope. Este. Nope. That's stone gray. Far out. Oh, did I not put it up there? I didn't. You have an older brother or a younger brother? Let's clean this bitch up. This is one of these colors that I should go to the store and re-buy it, because I got it like, it was already sitting on a shelf too long. And now it's just like, it's like a blood clot or runny. And neither one of those two things are good. Yeah, here's a big old clot. Clumpy Clumpelstein. Let's just scoop some of this stuff out. He's got another one of these, as I like to call it, a members-only jacket. That's what a model 1941 looks like. It looks like one of those members-only jackets that people had in the 80s. You know, it doesn't go very far down. It barely touches your waist. And almost all of them has this. And almost 9 o'clock and I'm drinking coffee. Yeah, we're going to be fun tonight. This guy's got a lot of gear. I've got a lot of like cross straps and stuff off of his gear. Is that part of the jacket that we see there? I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and paint it in the base jacket color. And we'll go around. There's none of it showing there. You know, the same thing happened with my medic. I was trying to make heads or tails what I was actually painting in it. Ended up turning out just fine. Just sometimes you're like, well, let me see exactly what exactly is going on here. Okay, that's a strap, and then we also have, no. That's part of that one that goes across, and that's part of that one that goes that way. Okay, So we don't need to, he doesn't have any suspenders or anything like that. Okay, I think we're good with that. And some of these figures, this one does not have, has insignia on their shoulders, like a little shield, like the big red one. These Skyway buildings come together quite well. Just got another one together. Where'd you buy them? What did you order them online? Skywave and Hasegawa, Aoshima. I think Tamiya makes stuff, and lots of people come up with stuff now. But that was who made them back then. Fujimi, did Fujimi do chips? I want to say they did. Waterline. Tamiya, Hasegawa, Fujimi, Aoshima. Skywave. I want to say those were the ones that used to make them. And they all make like tons of, it's funny, like the Japanese manufacturers, and I'm always a fan of the Japanese manufacturers for models. Always was. They make like every German tank and like hardly make Japanese tanks. When it comes to ships, they have a hard on for the Imperial Japanese Navy. Okay. Let's get on with the smaller brush. And we're going to take this same color and we're going to add more of the core color to it. You told me about them once and looked them up. I had to get some. I'm an enabler. They did a $100 order on them on eBay. Yeah, I remember them from. There was this store. There was a store in Jacksonville. My dad used to work in Jacksonville, which is about an hour and a half from us. He used to work at the University of Florida. That's why we came to live here. And he was a professor. And when he was tired of the politics, he ended up going to work at an engineering firm, because that's what he is. He's a civil engineer, or was, in Jacksonville, which is about an hour and a half away. So what we would do is, he had an apartment that he stayed in up there. My parents weren't split up or anything. That's just what he did. So he'd go to work on Mondays, and he would stay all day, all week. I mean, he would go back home. He had a little apartment there. And he would either come back Thursday night, or he would stay up there, and we would go up there and meet up with him, and we learn Jacksonville while we're up there. So, at that age, I was already, when he started working that job, I was 15. So, I was already doing hobby stuff at that time. So we'd be like, hey, let's go to this hobby store. Let's go to this hobby store. So I learned my way around the hobby stores in the late 80s in Jacksonville, when, hobby stores still existed in the late 80s. And one of the hobby stores that I went to was this place. It was on the corner of Southside Boulevard and Beach Boulevard. This old has-been strip mall. Even back then it was a has-been strip mall. I'm sure the strip mall doesn't exist anymore. And this place was called Art's Hobby Shop. And what was unique about Art's Hobby Shop is it had a ton of models in there. But it was like a rummage sale. Like you'd come back and you would get dehydrated when you were done, because there was so much dust on all those models. But they had a full line of all the Aoshima and the Skywave and all that kind of stuff. And I've always liked ships. At that point in the late 80s, I was on a ship tear. That's what I was into. I just happened to do 1/2400 scale. I had done some of the 1/600 scale MPC Airfix type models. But the actual game width, I was looking for the 1/2400 scale stuff. But I still looked at the 1/700 scale stuff that they have there, Skywave and a couple other brands. I forget what the heck they are. I don't know that the Skywave had any at that time, or at least this store had any like warships. They would have like tugboats, like dockyard supplies, warehouse, cranes. You know, maybe they might have had like little cutters or tugboats or something that auxiliaries, like generic auxiliaries for World War II stuff. But I don't remember that store carried any like, say, Japanese destroyers or something like that in Skywave. I just know that they made dockyard stuff. And that would have been like 1987, 88 when I saw that stuff. So, but that's one of those places that they just did inventories. It was like going to the garage sale, like going in there and seeing what you'd run into. See what you would encounter. But I know that our local hobby group that I've been going to, it's next week actually, I've been going to for a couple of months now. Well, it actually started in the hobby store when I worked at the hobby store in the 90s. But it's definitely airplane centric. So most people build planes. And armor is a close second. And then the people that do cars are just, there's just not that many people that do cars. So, the only reason I want to do a car is like I build a model of my own car that I have or something. Like if I was like, let's build models of cars that I've had throughout the years. Okay, but most of those cars are like, mundane, like, they're not gonna have stuff like that. So cars just don't, tickle my fancy. But ships is just kind of like an it's like a forgotten thing. It's definitely of all the genres, it's definitely the most niche one of all of them. I'd say armor is probably bigger than planes now. It's probably bigger than planes. Planes definitely number 2. Some people probably argue with me and say, planes are more popular than armor, but they'd be wrong. But ships are definitely a distant third. But being somebody who's lived and breathed World War II stuff, I should know more about ships than armor. Because that's what I used to game all the time. So I'd be looking at, okay, Japanese ships, well, they're cool, but they lack a lot of armor in a lot of places. Like, Japanese ships are very offensive oriented. Between the deadly torpedoes that they had, and I'm talking like cruisers, obviously destroyers are deadly. And the main attack point of destroyers is torpedoes, no matter what it is. But the Japanese cruisers, like heavy cruisers and stuff, they had a nice volley of really deadly torpedoes on them as well. As well as 8-inch guns and stuff like that. So, but like that Godzilla movie, Takao. Takao is got 8-10-inch guns. That's a lot of 8-inch guns for a heavy cruiser. But and it was big. But it was missing armor in a lot of places. Like it doesn't, I don't remember right now. It's got belt armor and conning tower armor, and I think it just doesn't have a lot of turret armor. But that's, British cruisers were that way. Those County class cruisers were the same way. They had deck armor and belt. That was it. There were soft targets everywhere else. I mean, you might have, very limited stuff like that. They weren't very well armored. But their importance was range. You need cruisers to be able to go all over be stationed, on the other side of the world and be able to, sailing range is important. When you have something like, France or Italy, Italy doesn't have to have really long sailing range on their ships because they just need to operate in the Mediterranean. So, you don't need all that fuel capacity. You can put, armor and shit like that on it. So like French and Italian cruisers, as a general rule, are pretty well armored. Just didn't have that range. And like U.S. cruisers, Japanese cruisers, the British ones, they just have some crazy ass ranges. What'd you pick up? Just buildings? Crane's the only piece you're having problems with. Uh-oh. I knew you got that Maru, whatever it is. Those Japanese civilian ships are hilarious. You know, they'll have like a name of a city that's not even remotely Japanese, and then they'll put Maru at the end of it. They'll Nipponize it. You know, Kinshasa Maru. You know, Cape Town Maru. You know, one might be a hospital ship, another one might be a, you know, party boat. That picture, that famous picture of that troop ship that is run aground on Guadalcanal was something Maru as well, you know. Basically, if your name is Maru, it's an unarmed vessel. I'm sure they had, you know, pop guns or something like that. Some of them. Pick 3 sets of building and a dock set. So I think the next read I'm going to do on my Audible is probably going to be something about the Pacific War. But unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get any Marines because I just don't want to do any. I don't want to do any of those islands. I don't want to do Pelew or Tarawa or Iwo Jima, Okinawa. What else did I miss? Probably a couple of other ones. I'm just not interested in doing. You know, Guadalcanal would be okay, but Guadalcanal Marines just they don't even have Garands or anything. They're still using the Springfields, and those figures that Combat makes aren't appropriate for them. So, and you know they got the cool camo covers on them. The Marine camo looks pretty cool. Their uniforms are sad. They're sad looking. Looks like a pajama that's 2 sizes too big. ACW? Did I say ACW the Pacific? No, what did I say? No, I want to pick up a book on Pacific stuff. I'm thinking Philippines. Philippines in 44. But that's like the U.S. Army. So, you know, can I use these guys? Well, I don't want to use these guys. I want to use guys that look different. Really, probably a lot of those would be wearing Model 43 uniforms, which basically means they're green. Instead of being, you know, khaki, light sandy color and brown pants for the most part, you know, and a green helmet. That's pretty much what the U.S. wore in Europe until those Model 43 uniforms came in. You think, oh, American GIs wore green. Well, eventually they do, but not at this time period. They didn't land in Normandy with that. They're basically wearing browns. They're more brownish type stuff. You know, they're as green as, say, the British, you know. All right, so at this point, I probably would do the rifle. So a lot of people do beige brown. I was probably using this color for the rifle. Let's see if we've got any life left in this. And this is the wood brown from Cote d'Arms. And I haven't touched this in probably 20 years. So if it's alive, it's a miracle. And if not, we just cleared up the space on the paint rack. And we won't use this one. We got other colors we could use instead of this one. I just figured this is for old time's sake. Yeah. Yep, there's some life in this bastard. And we're going to go ahead and clean this edge out. Still smells like Bill Clinton. I did not open up that jar. Okay. All this paint that unfortunately got wasted to create that thing on here. Let's use this brush. Ooh, it's pretty thick. There we go. There we go. Get you some. Need to find an online source for this. I love Coat the Arms paints. They go on so nicely. How are the two sides in the Philippines at 44? Are they evenly matched? No, nothing's evenly matched. So that's the problem in the Pacific. If you're doing stuff other than, if you're doing like Guadalcanal, anything after Guadalcanal, it's really heavily balanced. And we're talking about, as your overall chance to win their conflict is really favors the Americans. That doesn't mean, that they had an easy time or anything, or it was just like a cakewalk. But I'm just talking, if you're talking about, like if you're looking at like something, say Battle of the Bulge. Battle of the Bulge, the Germans aren't going to win the war. The Germans aren't going to win the war in December 1944. They're just not going to win. But, you look at some of those tactical battles and the Germans can have an advantage in them and, and get far to a certain point. But there's always something that's always going to, once you get past that tipping point, that the Axis powers are really going to struggle with. And it's almost always involves air power. So, now nothing is as bad as like the island hopping stuff. So if you got island hopping stuff, you've got 2 or 3 times as many Marines that are landing on the island as there are Japanese defending. But there's complete air superiority. There's this complete air superiority over those islands as the air forces had over Normandy. That doesn't mean that the kamikazes couldn't get through. I'm just saying that, the Japanese that are stuck on this island aren't going to call these planes that are going to come in and they're going to attack, they're just going to be like they just happen to be in the area, So you've got that. And so the Marines outnumber them. Well, obviously they're on the attack, but, they've got more tanks. They've got better tanks. They've got a whole fleet that's supporting them with, off-board artillery, so to speak, 16, 8, 16, 14, 5-inch guns. You think, it's just a destroyer. What's 5 freaking inch guns, man? That's big, man. That's 155s. 155, 6-inch. 155s are 6-inch. That's some big freaking guns, though. So, now, if you're playing something really limited in scope, the Philippines, you can get far enough away on the inside where the naval guns can't reach you. Okay, so you can take that out of the equation to make it more, balanced. But the Japanese are totally on the defensive. But they had some assault guns and stuff like that on the Philippines. They have more variety of tanks. Now, the Japanese tanks are just garbage compared to, say, a Sherman is just like a King Tiger. A Sherman in the Pacific is like a King Tiger. Like, there's no Japanese tank that's even remotely equivalent to a Sherman. Not even. But I think the way this game plays lends itself really well to the Japanese being run by a GM, you know, and just do wild, crazy stuff, you know. But I don't know much about it, other than it lasted about. Well, they were still. I think they were still fighting on the Philippines at the end of the war. I mean, they were still fighting over New Guinea at the end of the war. You know, New Guinea hadn't completely capitulated yet. Now, the interesting thing would be to do China, but there just aren't enough different figure manufacturers for the Chinese. There's like one manufacturer that makes Chinese figures. Okay, so at this point, we're going to do the hands next. Let me bring this rifle up a little bit more. I like adding impressions of what looks like wood grain at certain places. But there's a guy that I forget who it is that 3D prints like a Japanese bunker. It looks freaking awesome. It looks freaking awesome. And it's really expensive. Yeah, China would be cool. Some cool city buildings you could paint. God, they just don't make. I mean, I know there's lots of like. What did you say your girlfriend was from? Is she Filipino? I think you said she was Filipino. I think the Philippines would be great. I think the Philippines really. The only bad thing about the Philippines is it's not the Marines. There's an opportunity to like do the Marines. You got some different kind of Americans instead of just doing U.S. Army guys. And the native Filipinos had a lot of volunteers and a lot of guys that would run around doing like hit and run stuff, and you know they weren't necessarily very effective all the time, but you know it's another angle also, you know. Yeah, she's Filipino. I just don't know much about that area of the world. I don't either, but it's just an opportunity to. It's an opportunity to learn. That's how I learn, is by, you know, like, okay, well, we're going to play this. Well, let's learn about it. Oh, shit, I didn't know that. I'm sure there's all kinds of really interesting stuff. I wouldn't want to get into, like, buildings of Manila and stuff like that. I mean, that's... But that little assault gun that I have, that was used in the Philippines. That Honey, I'm home. Honey. But the Japanese, they did all kinds of horrible shit. They treated the Filipinos terribly. Bad shit. Okay, let's do the darkest shade of his flesh, which would be something like this. And I assume you're not Filipino. You know, it's okay if you are, you know. There's one guy that I knew that used to hang out at the hobby store. And he was a gamer. He didn't really do historical games. His dad did. But he was half Filipino. He was a great guy, but he was just really elusive. I tried to track him down, and he went out to the northwest part of the United States. Really good guy. It's not you, is it? Nah, you're white. Are you white or are you Anglo? That's the difference. I'm not Anglo. But I don't hyphenate myself. I'm like, you know, I'm American. I'm like from here. So if I go somewhere, I miss this place. I go to another country, I miss all the stuff that we have that we take for granted here. Okay, so that's all we're going to do with that shade. Then we're going to, I think we're going to add some of the sunny skin tone right now and start. Yeah, that's probably about what we need to do. God, I love the sculptor. But whenever I found out about this guy, I think he may have already passed away at this the point. I mean, one of the first cruises I ever took on. Of course, most of the people that work on a cruise ship, or at least on the cruise line that we used to go on, I would say 70% of the crew is from the Philippines. At least 70%. I remember one of these guys that was working on a cruise ship tracked me down and said, "Oh, your last name's the same as my last name." I'm like, "Yeah, but I can speak Spanish." Your girlfriend like Joe Coy? Man, he's funny. He is a funny mother. I like Joe Coy. Certainly you know who Joe Coy is. I think I've seen all his specials. I gotta make this guy look like a Pollock. What's a Pollock look for him? We don't have any of them in the South. We don't have Polish people down here in the South. They probably can't stand the roaches. Okay, I'm on the right track. Let's add more of this color. All right, let's add a little bit. Do you have any white that's alive here? That one. Let's add a little bit to that. And I'm going to guess that Polish people probably can't tan really well. Just a guess. Okay. That's as far as we're going to do with that guy. He's going to have a helmet. There's no doubt what color we're going to paint the helmet. Let's do that. Let's leave the boots and stuff for last, because what ends up happening is I turn this figure around and I end up scuffing some of it, so I end up having to repaint it again. So I like the color green that we used for. Yeah, you're familiar with Joe Coy. Yellow olive. Nope. No, let's use the one that we did. Not U.S. Olive Drab. That's South. Good Lord. Easy there, killer. U.S. Olive Drab. Yeah, this is the. Your girlfriend doesn't like him that much, but she likes the woke comedians the most. Uh-oh. Well, I'm glad she's your girlfriend. I love ethnic humor. That's the stuff that I like. I like making fun of all our different ethnicities, because generally they're correct and you just laugh about them. You don't, no hating on anybody, any different group or anything. It's just funny to make fun about all that stuff. Yeah, I can't do the woke comedians. Sorry. Old school. That's what I grew up. All the stand-up comedians, when I grew up, they always made fun of their ethnicities and other ethnicities and didn't hate on anybody. It's just, that's what makes us all different. It's hilarious. It's funny. And all of a sudden, everybody got butthurt over it. You probably can't watch my channel. Yeah, if I do any gaming in Burma, she probably doesn't need to watch those episodes where, everybody's either Japanese or Indian. I said, I'd have a field day with that. Okay, so there's the base color on the olive drab. So let's bring this up a little bit. Luckily, she isn't too easily offended. No. It's got to get some thick skin. I remember going into I went into a Starbucks a few years ago. And I was not looking forward to going to work. And I asked for a cup of coffee, and they always ask, well, how's your day going? Well, I really want to tell them, like, it's going to shit. I don't have my freaking coffee yet. But I said, nah, it's going to be a rough one because I got to work with a handicapped. And, you know, it went right over their woke head. They're like, well, that's good. Handicapped people need jobs too. I'm like, you don't get it, man. You don't understand. No, not literally handicapped people, you know. Yeah, I don't think I'd last long working at a Starbucks. There's a lot of things that I wouldn't last really long at. I wouldn't have lasted really long. See, I wouldn't last really long in college now. I wouldn't be able to put up with that. I wouldn't be able to put up with, like, I remember the first thing that I'm like, man, I wouldn't be able to put up with is when that reality show Real World came out a long time ago. I'm like, there's no way I'd put up with that nonsense. You know, people just being stupid and stuff and having to live with them. Like, no. No. I'm out of here. All right, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to use a tip from yesterday. This guy's got all these accoutrements in this green gray. So let's grab green gray again. We're going to paint that. Green gray, green gray, green gray. Green gray is like this guy. That's it. That's such a Starbucks story. Yeah, they don't get it. I wouldn't last, you know. I wouldn't last working there. Okay, that's now I see he's got those little packs where the rifle goes in. Okay, well that's all the same color. All these packs are basically all the same color. So let's start with that. We're gonna need a smaller one for that. We're not gonna get very far with that one. Yeah, I don't think I'd do well in an environment where I have to respect somebody because they identify as a deciduous tree. I'm like, go run off, you know. We didn't have these problems in the 80s and 1990s. You guys created them. Leave me alone. Go away. Deciduous tree. I'm a cacti trapped in a human's body. Yeah, you're a prick, all right. Get out of here. I'm pretty sure the people that identify as a deciduous tree don't want to play humans in a role playing game. I'm gonna take a stab at that one. Okay, and this is still going to leave us a canteen, which we're going to modify it a little bit just for color-wise, just so it can stand out. We don't want all the equipment in the same color. That's just going to look boring, even though that's pretty much what it looked like. Contrast is the name of the game. Alright, now we're going to use this color just straight how it comes. You hate this crane so much. Uh-oh. Is it really fiddly? You using the wrong glue? Is it making you suffer? Yeah, some things just. There's some models like I don't think models are particularly difficult to put together or frustrating, but sometimes they make you put two things together that nobody's going to see. This probably isn't the case with a crane. You probably see everything on a crane, but there's some models I've put together like, why am I doing all this like suspension like hidden in there? Like you can't even see it. What I do wrong? Is it like, punishing people enjoy, like I remember when I was a kid, you build an airplane model. The first thing they want you to do is they want you to paint things as you're assembling them, which, I would say go fly a kite now. And back then I would have said it even more, you know. But, you know, the first thing they want you to assemble, bad enough, is the cockpit. Well, I don't give a shit about a cockpit. I'm not one of those people that, as a kid gave a shit about the cockpit. Like, that's not the fun part of an aircraft, you know. So I certainly don't want to sit there and, I'm gonna work on this for a couple hours. What have you been doing? Oh, I've been painting little parts in the cockpit, and it's not even together. Like, I don't care about that. Can worry about those details after you've done the fun part. Well, it doesn't really work that way with the cockpit because then you can't reach it. So, but hey, I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of a kid, of a snotling. What are Games Workshop snotlings? They're like baby goblins. You bloody snotling. No, I actually don't like the woke comedians because they're very difficult to watch with your family. Because all the jokes basically turn into like, okay, well, we can't make fun of people's ethnicities because people might get offended. What are you stuck with? Making really uncomfortable, awkward, deviant sexual things. And it's not like I'm offended by that, but that's kind of hard to watch with your freaking daughter, like. So like everybody just turns into that. It's like I don't really care for that stuff. It just gets too, it doesn't really bother. It's just very difficult to watch it with, other people. Oh, be careful, Master Tony. I almost had a situation that happened here. A little too much wetness on the brush. Started turning into this color into a wash. We do not want that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So we're going to take this same color and we're going to add a little bit of green. But we're going to, the olive drab probably work fine. We're going to take this core color, move it over here, add some olive drab to it. The problem with woke comedy is that they have to try and get me emotional. I feel like it's a manipulative in a way. My girlfriend doesn't force me to watch it, so it doesn't bother me much. Well, I'm not going to change my ways, and it doesn't really affect me. I just think it just gets too fucking weird. It's just too weird. It's just too sexually weird. It doesn't make me uncomfortable. I mean, I can handle it. It's just like that's what everything turns into. It's like these deviant sexual things you can't watch with your family members. I don't watch it with my wife, but you can't watch it with other people. It's like really uncomfortable. Whereas, making fun of, like, maybe some people from some parts of the world aren't very, the joke is that they're not very good drivers is okay. Like that, that's not like awkward to watch with people. You have to try and get me emotional. I don't know if I've ever gotten emotional. Their ways fail on me. Yeah, she wouldn't be able to watch something like George Carlin or anything like that, right? Okay, so that's that. I gotta figure out what the hell a rifle grenade even looks like. This guy's looking good though. Which, considering he's got equipment that's pretty darn boring looking. Let's see if I can. Where's my phone? You're not the biggest Carlin fan? I used to like. Who's the guy I used to like? The guy from Orlando. Shit. What's his name? Daniel Tosh. I used to like Daniel Tosh. There's not like people that say something inappropriate, like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and they pour like gas on it. All right, U.S. rifle grenade, World War II. That's what we're gonna look for. U.S. rifle grenade, World War II. Images. U.S. rifle grenade, World War II on Garand. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, it's a part of it that goes underneath. Oh, that's interesting. All right, so first of all, the Garand does not have. I think I'd know, considering I've fired one, but I don't own one, so. Okay, so all of this is going to be wood except that one part. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and let's salvage that before we get too far along. Oh, we're too far along. We're too far along. So, this is also going to be wooden color, and so is that. Okay, and we're going to bring this stuff up as well. Oh, I guess I need more of this stuff. There we go. Get a big old get your big old glob there. we're going to lighten them up. Okay. Now we got that where we need that. All right. The rifle grenade, the grenade itself, yeah, we could do, I guess this would all be a similar color. I'm going to use olive drab. It's right here. Let's mix some black in with it. And we're going to paint all this stuff. I got a German guy with a rifle grenade. I used to have two, and one guy walked away. Well, it was a long time ago, and we won't be entering a painting contest after that. That's just stress causing. The same color with a little bit of white in there. There we go. That's good. This guy's gonna look good. Okay, that's done. So we just have to do that. Now, one thing I have not gotten comfortable with is using gray to highlight gunmetal type things. I'm not comfortable with that. So I continue using a metallic type color. Just in a look, whoa, what the hell happened here? Wow, look at this shit. This is Iron Warriors. And it looks freaking purple. Ooh, I gotta take a picture of this. This is insane. Look at this. Freaking purple, man. This is actually not the color I was planning on getting. Wow. Well, that straightened itself out. That was really weird, man. That was really, really weird. Let's just come in and we're just gonna highlight a couple of these things. Well, I'm pretty confident I'm gonna get this guy done tonight. That's pretty cool. I got no regrets about doing the World War II stuff instead of the Ancients. You know, I could do small goals, get them completed in an evening. What am I going to paint next? I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Marcus, joining a bit late. Welcome, man. You see my medic? My favorite figure. Go figure. That's what it's called. Go figure. I think I'm going to actually bring up his rifle grenade a little bit more so it stands out. So add a little bit more white to it. Not hit it everywhere, but just hit certain spots. Nope, need to bring it up a little bit more now. There we go. A lot of the colors that this GI's use, just not very attractive. Once they started using the M43 uniform, it looks a lot better, but to be honest with you, a lot of these colors that they use just, they're not very appealing. Now, for the leggings, if I remember correctly yesterday, we used green ochre. We used green ochre for Dole. Yeah, you see pictures of it turn out, man. He's my favorite freaking figure, man. Don't worry, I'll have a better figure. But he's my combat medic. He's sporting 1911. I can't find one on him, but he's gonna have a. I'm not sending guys that aren't armed. There's only one Desmond Doss. You know, you could be like a pacifist and stuff like that, but if people are gonna open up on you, you're gonna open up in return. Like, none of that. Well, I'll just sit here and take it bullshit. You know. See if I can find one that's. God, there's just so much shine on it, like so much kickback. Here we go. There's not a whole lot of kickback on that one. Pretty cool. Well, you know what his first name is? It's Joe Dole. It's Joel Dole. What else could his name be? Dunkelgelb. Did we get some of it out? No. Okay. I like this, man, working on one guy and finishing him up. That's pretty freaking cool. And I need more Americans, because I've got plenty of Germans. Now, I know the Germans are excited to paint. Well, whatever. I got lots of Germans to paint. Lots of Americans to paint. This is a guy with a rifle grenade. I don't have a rifle grenadier. So this guy fits that position. Like, I don't have a guy with a bazooka. He might be next. He's up here. This guy's Kowalski. And just because I'm using this color doesn't mean I have to bring it all the way to that bright yellow, which I'm not going to. We're going to add a little bit of white to it now. I just want it to look like the khaki, but have a little bit more yellow in it. Oh yeah. Did your figures come in from the Valor, with the Valor thing, whatever it's called, Valor Point Games or whatever? What's it called? Victory Valor Games? Let's add a little bit more. A little bit more for some contrast. Oh yeah. I want to order from them, but in order to be able to sleep at night, I think I'm going to knock some of these figures out first. Now, I'm fine using the same color that I'm using right now. Let me just go back a little bit for the chin strap. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Ooh, I see something that needs to pop. Where's my OD? Whoa! I see that drop of water. Perfect. Now, the boots, leather brown, and that's it. And this joker is done. Well, we got to glue his name on there. And then we'll let him sit, and then tomorrow morning we'll hit him with the sealer. Leather brown. Should be this one? Nope, that's shotgun brown. That's his cousin. Not this one. There it is. Battle Valor figures. Beginning to worry. Not good, man. Hope it didn't steer you sideways. Did you buy them directly from them, or did you buy them through eBay? I feel like you got more protection. Like if you buy stuff, if you buy something through eBay, and you pay with PayPal, I feel like you've got enough resources on your side. They're going to back you up in case something goes sideways. I mean, you still don't end up getting your product, but at least you're not out the monies. And hopefully it's just, I hope his alloy is hard. Because I've got a lot of these combat miniatures that just don't, that are a bit too bendy. Let's bring up this just a tad bit more. So we've been coming from home for lunch every day. So in the morning, I ended up putting the goop on the stand, and at night, at lunchtime, I ended up coming and painting on the medic, everything brown, so it'd be ready to dry brush when I got home. So I've been on a tear doing that. All right, you're good to go. We're gonna leave your happy ass alone, okay? Because you're ready to lob that thing at some krauts. Let's get the name here. Hit him with that hawk. I've never seen that. I've never even seen the video of that. I don't even know how to pronounce that. What is that? Some stupid blonde girl speak? My 700 scale buildings are coming along. Just don't mention the cranes. All right, this guy is Kowalski. There he is. My favorite penguin, Kowalski. Okay. Think I did a good job on Dole there? He's not going to be sitting around. He's getting the pistol, not sitting around and suffer under line of fire and then go out there and not be armed. Screw that. Not only is he going to be a violent medic, he's going to fire back and he's going to cuss a lot too. The Cousin Medic. All right, Kowalski. We're not going to glue that on until we've got the goop where we need it. All right, now let's take a picture of these guys. So they don't look as good until they're sealed. So let's just see if I can get a good shot of his face, because these faces are incredible. The sculptor he's my hero. Now, he does a good job with this. This is why. This guy's sculpting actually is what got me into doing these figures in this scale. And remember, he looks kind of drab. I mean, because that's like the equipment that the U.S. used was drabby-like. All right, now let's go grab those two pictures. No, I don't even need to highlight them. The other thing is, you take pictures farther away and zoom in; they turn out better than trying to get them really close. All right, let's show you the back side of him. And you can really tell that his equipment is drab-like, but that's what they're supposed to look like. It's actually a really close color from his jacket. So you gotta brighten one up more than the other so you can stand out. And here he is with the potato. The blast potato. That's Kowalski. I don't get the obsession with the hot dog girl. I haven't even seen that video one time. That's just one of them cash me outside type things, which I all didn't see. The only one of those trending things that I used was, ain't nobody got time for that. That one I used. Because there's a lot of things I don't have time for. So, Kowalski is done, and the beauty of this is that, there's small goals, like paint one guy tonight, and he's done. And eventually we'll work our way through here. So I think we're going to keep working on these U.S. guys, because I have the potential of having a couple squads. I just need to fill in, some different folks to have enough of them. Now, I got two guys that I actually broke out of my Americans from this manufacturer, and they're both in the same Valor, whatever the Valor Games pack. I don't have a lot of things to Hawktois for. Probably not. I have a feeling that's not one of my pastimes. And they're both in the same set. One of them is a guy that's got a Garand that has a netting on his head. He looks kind of like Calvin. So he's a really cool looking figure, except he doesn't have the scrim in his helmet. And the other one is a guy that's in a pose kind of like these guys are, just standing up, but he's got a BAR, which would be very difficult to fire. I mean, a BAR is would be really, you get really tired of firing it unsupported like that. But did I finish a German guard check? No, I need to leave that for the weekend. That's going to be really exhausting to okay, still didn't get it finished tonight. That's going to be like a Saturday, Sunday type project. So, I can get this done. Tomorrow night, if I want to work on one guy, I can paint one of these guys, or maybe the Zuka guy, or, something like that. The Zook, who does have a 1911 right there slapped on him. And the assistant has a carbine. So, anyhow, or whoever this guy is, this guy's got at least, I'm going to make this guy captain. Yep. Yeah, he's got 1911 out. Don't make me come down there. Okay, so that's where we're going to stop for the night. And I appreciate you guys coming in. And